In theory, there are different stages of where you're at in your business right now. And there is the 0 to 1 stage, and then there's the 1 to 100 stage, and the 100 stage to 1000 stage. And every stage, there is going to be a set of main bottlenecks that, if solved, will be able to take you to the next stage very quickly. And there are also a set of actions that you should not be doing, but you think are useful, that are going to keep you stuck at that exact same stage. So the way you identify that signal or that bottleneck is by understanding which are the main levers you need to be pulling at your current stage. So that takes a bit of high level overview or insight on where you are now. Is you need to know exactly what to sell. You need to find a set of solutions and deliverables that when you present to a lead or a prospect, it will be targeted and tailored to them and have enough value that they won't be able to say no to it. So that means that when you're at the beginning stages, the signal is to create a no-brainer offer. The signal is not to shoot more content. The signal is not to build a landing page. The signal is not even to reach out to people yet and try to sell them something. It is to build that foundation that's going to, as my mentor says, build the skyscraper on top of. And afterwards, once you have your offer, you want to focus on the next signal. So once you have something that you want to sell, your goal now is not to go ahead and watch different videos on sales training. It is not to build out your actual offer. It is not to build out your modules or write resource docs. Your next bit of signal is to get traffic towards that offer and to get as many eyes from it as possible so you can start generating the data on whether or not that offer has positive responses or is getting negative responses. And you've identified that blocker because you're just working backwards from first principles. And when you step back and you look at the entire scope of what you're doing, you are basically at every stage of your growth, whenever you're hitting new milestones, you are reevaluating what is the signal from the noise, what do you need to be working on right now, and what do you need to be isolating in order to move towards that next step. I will say this once, is that you can achieve any business, logistical, or even personal goal that you set out to do with data, analysis, and time. You could even take off the first two and say with time you can really achieve anything. But the way you speed it up is with generating data, having the systems in place that bring out the necessary metrics, pieces of information, and data you need to make a careful analysis. And then from there, taking a look at all that data and then seeing what is it telling you to continue doing and what is it telling you to discard. And then from there, you're able to create some insights on what to continue and what to double down on and then what to discard. And essentially, you're always going through that process to generate your data, to analyze it, and then to get insights on what action items you need to do next. You do that across every stage of the bottleneck that you're experiencing right now. And through that constant process of identifying which biggest lever you have to pull, going through that signal-based growth system of getting the data, analyzing it, and then finding the next moves. And from repeating that feedback loop over and over and over and over again, that's how you incrementally move towards your end results. In business, when you're operating online, you want to set up your entire sales funnel and fulfillment funnel as a massive data farming operation. That data, that information is exactly what it's going to allow you to identify what the signal is from the rest of the noise. For example, I record every single one of my sales calls. This is something that I learned from a buddy of mine who works from a mentor that I really look up to in the online space. Is they record every single one of their sales calls, and then from those hours and hours of transcripts, they'll put everything into ChatGPT, and they will develop a list of green flags from a prospect and a list of red flags, to the point where they can literally accurately predict, based on whether or not a lead has those green flags or red flags, if they're going to close or not. They're going to be able to find similarities across all of the good leads and all of the bad leads, because they managed to farm all of that information, all of that data from that sales calls. Because of that process and the way they set things up, they were able to see the signal in the sales process and to know exactly what to double down on. Same thing with content creation. Right now, for example, I have a big client of mine. We're helping him run his socials. He has over 30,000 followers on LinkedIn. And typically, what most people will do is they will shoot over content and just hope that it goes viral. But most virality is manufactured. You can almost predict virality. And Mr. Beast says the same thing. It's not an accident. Virality comes from a certain set of variables that come together in a way that will cause engagement at scale on social media. And the way we generate the signal in that content creation process is we're analyzing every single component of a post that is done well and every single component of a post that is not done well, so we can get consistent signals on what will perform and what won't perform. And then over time, we'll be able to move all of our pieces of content towards the viral direction. And on a more technical level, how exactly do we do that? We take a look at all of the hooks. So in our case, we're looking at LinkedIn content. We'll analyze every single hook and we'll analyze every single component of that hook. Are we tagging another famous creator? Do we have stats in there? Do we have percentages? Do we have a number? How much controversy do we have inside? Are we targeting a certain group, or are we drawing a fine line for people to stand on either side? Like, we're trying to see all these small little elements to see what makes a hook viral. And then afterwards, we're also looking at a visual hook. We're looking at the images that we're adding into it. We're trying to find overlapping elements. We're trying to find signal from our content. And this is just another example, like the sales call example that I just showed you, where you can begin getting data from your strategies and from your campaigns, and then from that data identifying the signal that is allowing you to get the positive results that you're looking for. And coming back to what all of these successful entrepreneurs are doing is they're applying this signal-based growth operating system at scale across every single one of their departments, so that they are never guessing, they're always making data-backed decisions. And like that, they've created a positive feedback loop to be able to grow towards their current or end goals. So I want to tie this right back to how exactly you can use this in order to get started. And it comes from what we said just before. It is at your current stage, you need to think loud and clear on what your biggest constraint is at the moment. Every single morning, what I recommend you to do is you wake up and you ask yourself 2 questions, and you just meditate on those 2 questions, and you really want to have to think on them and be intentional with your answer. And that's going to decide your number 1 thing to do every single day. You're going to ask yourself, number 1, what is the biggest constraint that is happening in my business at the moment? And number 2, you're going to be asking yourself, what actions can I take today to relieve those constraints? And that is the only thing you need to be thinking about to separate the signal from the noise. If you're just beginning and all you've been doing is watching YouTube videos and you want to start a business, you need to first find what business to start. You need to create your offer. All right? Actually, no, you don't even need to create your offer. You need to find something that will align with your interests, strengths, and passions and competence. What I typically recommend is that you work on a solution that is in line with your Ikigai. And if you don't know what Ikigai is, you can go ahead and look it up online. It'll give you the exact step-by-step instructions on how to find it, right? So you got to create a Venn diagram. And once you find that, you need to turn that idea and that passion into a offer, which is a solution that is going to help take your future clients from where they are now towards their end result. So if you're first starting, that's the kind of reasoning I would go through to find what I want to do later on. And then by doing that process every single day, you're focusing on the immediate action steps you need to be doing in order to hit your goals, not the fluff, not the busy work that doesn't bring anything towards your current goals, like building a landing page, like building a brand, like any fancy editing. All that is a waste of time. You need to be focusing on the signal of what the biggest constraints are and what the actions you can be taking to relieve those constraints. And you need to start setting up your businesses and your operations and your systems in a way where you are getting live feedback and data from your interactions in your DMs, from the people you hop on calls with, from the positive responses of your different pitches. You want to be A/B testing. You want to be seeing which pieces of content are doing well, which stories in your Instagram are getting the most profile visits or the most follows or the most replies in your DMs. And you want to put all of that into a database, into Google Sheets, into Airtable, into SmartSuite. And you want to be very, very diligent to fill it in every single day so that when you look at your spreadsheets, you can see what is working, what isn't. You can see what the signal is, and you can see what the noise is. And you're going to repeat that process until you move from your first goal to your second, to your third, to your fourth, and expand your data collection methods at scale until you reach the point you want to get to. Thank you.